Sean Payton, head coach of the New Orleans Saints. What's with this Saints Happy podcast? This has to be the worst Saints podcast in the world. Ralph can't say anyone's name right. Andrew doesn't know football. Everyone has a hard time listening to Dave. And is Kevin even there tonight? The audio with this podcast, my God, the audio, it's painful.
All right, everybody, welcome to another edition of Saints Happy Hour podcast. Rate us, review us, give us 5 stars. If you don't give us 5 stars, don't give us any stars at all. Find us on the YouTubes. Subscribe wherever you get your podcast. Become a patron so you can get this podcast ad-free. Dave, people hate the ads. If you just pay $7 a month, you get the podcast, no ads. Happy Easter, everybody. Thanks for joining us. Dave, how's your Easter going as you pound candy like a reckless maniac?
I mean, I've already stolen so much of my kids' candy. I'm eating Swedish fish minis. I got just pounded some Annie's organic fruit snacks there. I've been eating ice cream
Annie's
all
organic,
day.
that's trash.
We had brunch after church. I mean, I've been eating all day. I didn't even really eat dinner. You know, it's like one of those days where like you have this huge lunch, and then like that's it. That's your only meal. And then you can't even fathom eating another meal. So
yeah,
it's been a day.
Tonight's like the good old days. It's like it's just me and Dave. Andrew is in vacay in Hilton Head, sending us pictures of alligators trying to eat his children. So Andrew's not with us. Kevin is off with the lady friend. You know, he ditched us.
We need like porn music to play when we talk about.
Well, I got the ER theme.
Yeah, but you know what? I'm thinking we need some like 70s bass heavy porn music to play now when we talk about him and his girlfriend.
Yeah, so he's with the doctor lady. You know, the Saints didn't make a lot of news, except they did one thing that drove me crazy. They signed that dude that was the number 1 pick in the 2017 names Ralph can't pronounce draft, which was freaking annoying as hell.
Right. How do you pronounce his name?
Toya Passanio. So
Passignon.
Yeah, he literally when we did a draft of names Ralph can't pronounce in 2017, he was the number 1 pick. Like Kevin was like, that's the guy.
I mean, there's no way
the Saints went and
there's no way we're gonna go a whole season with you trying to pronounce that name. Like you're gonna have to come up with a nickname like TK or something.
K-Pa.
K-Pa.
You know,
K-Pass.
You know, and Thomas, you need a soundbite where it's like him saying his name really slowly, and that way I can just go, Thomas, hit the sounder, and the guy can say his name.
You got it.
And we can do it that way. So
signed a 2-year deal worth $4.5 million.
Yeah, but that's the thing is it's not much of it is guaranteed. The thing is with this, Dave, as we get to draft season, and we'll get to the draft in a second about the Saints. I was fighting with people on the Twitters about the Saints' horrible history at linebacker, but I think we need to talk about the most important thing in the world right now. That is, we joked about there needing to be a parody account of me, and now there literally is a parody account of me on the Twitters, and it has over 100 followers. And
yeah, like that's a big deal. Wait, is that why it started? Somebody started it because you guys talked about it on the podcast?
We did. We talked about it on one of the dailies, I think, or something. And anyway, it's a parody account and it's out of control. The dude has 100 followers. He's got a screenshot of me with my eyes closed on WWL TV as the avatar, which I liked it better than my douchebag LinkedIn photo, at least.
Because you gave it to him and told him, and you said, "Hey, use this photo."
Yeah,
instead.
I did. But he did. He could have told me to fuck off.
He could have. He could have.
Yeah.
But the real Ralph Malbrough would never do that. So there's no way
No.
there's no way the parody Ralph Malbrough would ever do that. But it was,
Yeah.
but in a incredible instance of blind luck, whoever runs that account saw me in public at lunch
They did.
earlier this week with my daughter. My daughter had off from school because of the Easter break, and so I had to watch her for most of the day one day. And they saw me at Felipe's on Claiborne Avenue, and so I'm now going back to it and thinking about everybody was there. I think I have it narrowed down to 2 people. I think I could
Yeah.
I think I could pick them out of a lineup if I had to. But well played, and certainly you don't need to be worried about saying hello and introducing yourself or whatever, because people do that all the time. I love to meet.
That was me.
fans. Yeah, that was you. Right?
GG.
You came all the way from
Yeah. That's the
Poland.
thing. Thomas, he's not really in Poland. He's really a college student at Tulane, and this is his like PhD.
My name is Mouth.
Yeah, he's working on his master's degree, and what it is he's probably a New Orleanian pretending to be Polish in Poland, and he's got the Ralph the parody Ralph account. It's all part of his he needs to get his PhD. That's my going theory. But here's we got remember, since Andrew's on vacation, his dad is at Andrew's house stocking Andrew's fridge with IPAs, which we always love.
Perfect. Perfect.
So we're not gonna talk about Passagnon anymore.
Passagnon, is that how you say it? I
don't
mean,
know.
here's the thing with him. I wouldn't say this if Andrew was here, because he would just gloat and lord it over us, Dave. But I'm perfectly fine with Granderson sliding in and being just as good as Hendrickson. Now, he's not going to have 13.5 sacks, but what's the difference between Granderson in year 3 and Trey Hendrickson going into last year? Not much. Tana Passagnon, that dude, he never played football until he went to Villanova. Like,
oh my gosh, that sounds just like Jimmy Graham.
He's like the defensive version of Jimmy Graham, or he's like Onyemata 2.0.
Yeah, well, that would be okay.
Yeah.
I don't know. He's a raw talent. I mean, he's obviously like a physical freak. He's like what, 6'7". There is 6'7", 289. I mean, Jesus H Christ. I mean,
he blocks a lot of kicks too. So like, because he's
right.
so
So he's
goddamn tall.
right. And I saw on PFF that he was, and I heard Andrew talk about it. He's you could compare him to Margus Hunt. So he's Margus Hunt 2.0. But I mean, look, he's he could be a very good rotational guy for sure. I know the Saints. I think I saw the Lions were, he was definitely somebody. I think the Lions were interested in looking at or picking up. He's certainly not a throwaway, trash pile, free agent. I certainly think he's worthwhile for sure.
1 sack last season.
I know.
The one thing
that was that in the AFC Championship game.
Yeah, he's got more career sacks in AFC Championship games than he does in 4 regular seasons.
Right.
Which is kind of nuts. The reason I am mildly intrigued by this signing is, like I mentioned before, he's potentially Onyemata 2.0, and we like Ryan Nielsen, for the defensive line coach for Saints, Dave. He, in my opinion, he's the best defensive line coach in NFL or college. Like, that dude, he took guys that are 2 and 3 star players at North Carolina State. He made Bradley Chubb, who's like a 3-star recruit, he made him a top 7 NFL draft pick, right? So he's proven that like he can mold dudes that are really raw or don't have experience or whatever, and he can make something out of them. If they didn't have Nielsen, I would be like, my opinion would be like, whatever, it's camp body. I don't really give a shit. But because of what they have done with Onyemata and Ryan Nielsen, they work so hard to keep him on staff. Like, I'm intrigued by this guy, and I hope he gets 6-7 sacks and I butcher his name all season long.
I mean, 6-7 sacks would be great. My concern is like, okay, we just lost Hendrickson, so there's 13.5 sacks. I mean, we've got to try to replace that production somehow. And I mean, I don't think the Saints have any one person on the defensive line that's going to do that. Nobody on the team is going to step up and all of a sudden get 13.5 sacks by themselves, which means you got to have one guy get 6 sacks, one guy get 5 sacks, one guy get 8 sacks. I think it's going to have to be a full team rotational effort. One sack in the NFC Championship game, that's not gonna do it. And obviously it's more than just sacks. I mean, obviously, that's just one particular stat. Obviously, they may not be getting sacks, but if they're still, rushing the passer, getting in pressuring the passer, disrupting the pocket, all that kind of stuff, that's all still very good stuff. So,
well, the thing is with the Saints defensive line is they 100% have a ton of, I think defensive line has as many question marks as corner, and it's as big a need. And people yell at me on Twitter on that, but like
I think there's question marks. There's question marks at every position on defense. I mean, there's question marks at linebacker. There's question marks in the secondary, of course. There's question marks on the defensive line. I mean, the one good thing is I will say is I feel like we're beyond the Stone Age or the terrible age of defensive coaching and defensive coordinators, where I mean, you really had no faith in them, making chicken salad out of chicken shit. But Dennis Allen, I think he's earned our respect enough, and so maybe the Saints don't have huge names or big talents and that kind of stuff, but I think we can
pass a Noy, yeah.
Passanois.
But here, that brings up. You brought up a good point, Dave, about how we're out of the dark ages and we have more faith.
We can trust Dennis Allen. Yes, we can trust Dennis Allen. That he knows what he's doing, and that even though they don't have A+ talent or big names, that he's still going to field a very good defense, and they're going to get it done the good old-fashioned way.
Well, I was fighting with some Saints media people and other Saints people on Twitter. Some people were agreeing with me, other people were fighting with me, and it brings up a point. Is you brought up a great point, Jeff Ireland. Tremendous drafting. Dennis Allen has gotten the defense fixed. But I still said the point of I'm scared to death of them drafting a linebacker in the first round. I did a little Twitter rant on it. And here's the thing. The best linebacker the Saints have drafted, Thomas, get the music ready. The best linebacker the Saints have drafted since 1995 is Anzalone. He's the best one.
Oh my God.
He's the best one. And that
I was going down the list. It is pretty bad. It
is horrible. And the thing is, people on Twitter were like, well, just because they drafted horrible before doesn't mean the next one isn't going to be great. And they're like, well, they drafted terrible corners and then they got Lattimore. But I'm like, here's the thing. Before Lattimore, I could say they drafted Tracy Porter. I could come up with guys that they picked at positions, at least one or two. Linebacker, Dave, it is an abyss. And the thing that's scary is it encompasses all of Mickey Loomis's time as GM. Like they fluctuate from they draft guys like Anzalone with the physical skills to guys like Courtney Watson who have no physical skills but produced in college. They draft C. Grant who can run really fast but got injured and didn't know what to do. They draft James Allen who all he ever did was catch a touchdown, catch an interception in the end zone from the punter of Tampa. Cedric Hodge, remember him? Their linebacker drafting is horrific, and I just don't trust them that they know what they're doing. And Zach Bond, the latest one, he scares me the most because they drafted him. He was a defensive lineman in Wisconsin that got a bunch of sacks and was great at rushing the passer. And the Saints are like, no. All that cool stuff you did in college, forget all that shit. We're going to make you be a linebacker and you're going to drop into coverage. Like, Thomas has the graphic, the Hall of Shame. Ronald Powell, Alfred Fincher, Stephon Anthony, James Allen. Like, you
don't have Stanley Arnaud on there.
I know we don't. I mean, he only had so much room, Dave. We only have so many out. We only have so much time in this podcast. Martez Wilson, Nate Bussey. My favorite is Kyrie Ford.
Colby Buckwalt, Courtney Watson.
Kyrie Ford is my personal favorite because he fell asleep in meetings because he had narcolepsy. Like, he is one of my all-time favorites. We did a bracket of worst Saints draft pick ever. We grouped all there were so many of them. We grouped all the Hazlitt linebackers together as one thing.
Right.
My God.
I've got Nate Bussey. Jesus, I remember him too.
It's a lot of bad linebackers, and the thing is, it's a lot of bad linebackers. And yeah, Caden Ellis is a low pick. Ronald Powell is a 5th-round pick. Martez Wilson, Nate Bussey. But Stanley Arnaud, Kyrie Ford, those are 4th-round picks. Kika Haas, 2nd-round pick. Like, those are not like low draft picks. Those are middle to upper round picks, and they're all terrible, Dave. I'm scared, and the evidence shows they don't know what the fuck they're doing at linebacker. Like, it spans 26 years now of not knowing what the fuck they're doing.
I'm going to Stanley Arnaud. I just laugh about that.
Juge tweeted out, Vaughn has 6 tackles. He's already the 3rd best linebacker on this list.
Stanley Arnaud and Chip Vaughn were both picked from the same college within 3 picks of each other. I always remember that. I got to laugh out of that. No, actually, I'm about to blow your whole thesis up. I'm about to make the whole thing invalid because I'm on PFF, and actually in 2017 when they drafted Alex Anzalone, they also drafted after Anzalone in the same round, in the 3rd round, they drafted Trey Hendrickson, and he is listed as an outside linebacker.
Oh, get the fuck out of here with that.
So,
get out of here.
Trey Hendrickson is the best linebacker they've ever drafted.
That is fucking stupid.
No,
Wake up.
Not. It is not stupid. It is a
Dave
fact right here. It's on PFF, Pro Football. I'm sorry, it's on Pro Football Reference. And Pro Football Reference they are the Bible of statistical detail. He was an outside linebacker when he was drafted.
Oh my God. Your argument for the Saints knowing what they're doing at linebacker is Trey Hendrickson, who was also Trey Hendrickson is probably the best long snapper the Saints have ever drafted because he was a long snapper as well.
The best linebacker they ever drafted turned out to be a defensive end. Turned out to be like the best defensive end they've ever drafted.
Andrew's dad says, this show sucks. It seems like they're missing something. Hey, I won't say anything bad about Mr. Juge because you're like a super mega patron. We miss Andrew.
Like, it's Andrew.
It's Andrew. It's his dad. Oh, I thought it was his dad.
Oh yeah, no, that's Andrew.
Andrew, shouldn't you be keeping your children from being eaten by alligators instead of listening to this show drinking by a lake in Hilton Head or whatever the fuck you are?
Yeah, if you're available to be typing and listening to the show on YouTube, why can't you just be on the show?
Yeah, he said if only we knew what we were talking about. Yeah, come in here, hop on audio only and defend Zach Bond, that
Yeah,
trash heap of a linebacker.
And Andrew didn't know that Trey Hendrickson was drafted as an outside linebacker.
No, he didn't.
No,
That
he
might
did
be the
not.
greatest. That might be the greatest piece of info you've ever
I don't think Sean Payton did.
you've ever delivered to this podcast. Matt says Martez Wilson was a 3rd-round pick. No, by the way, Matt Martez, he was just offsides again. Just so you know.
on the punt.
Andrew says my children are dead. They've been eaten. Thomas, do we have funeral music we could play for Andrew's kids?
Not yet.
So, but Dave, they need. Here's the thing, though. This is the one caveat. I know. I know they need. That's a good beer, by the way, Dave. That's a really good beer.
How do you know?
I've had it. It's
This one, Rally Cap?
Yeah. I'm drinking the Dreamsicle out of the Saints World Championship mug.
Oh, wow.
But here's the thing. I know they need a linebacker. They desperately need one because Kwon Alexander, his Achilles turned to sawdust. Anzalone, we know, can't cover shit. We saw it in the Tampa game. He's gone to Detroit. Mm-hmm. I know they need a linebacker. Mm-hmm. Dave, and my fear is completely justified, but how do I oh my God, he's got another graphic. This is it. Sean Payton's new Joker, trade away next year's 7th to move up in the 3rd. He can play safety or in the slot. He's the next Colston. That's a 7th-round pick.
I like the Hofstra University made the list there.
The only linebacker the Saints could pick that would get me excited would be
Go Tigers.
Would be Jabril Cox from LSU. If they pick him,
I will. They would never.
I will pretend like this podcast that they don't know what the fuck they're doing when they pick a linebacker. I will pretend like it never happened if they pick Cox from LSU. And if they pick Cox from LSU, Thomas, we're just gonna do a whole podcast of this.
Go Tigers. Go Tigers. Go Tigers.
On a loop.
Go Tigers.
Probably be our most listened to podcast.
Does Tulane have a linebacker they could pick, Dave?
No, we've got, they've got Patrick Johnson. Would love to see them. I'd love to see them take either Patrick Johnson or Cam Sample, both pass rushers. Obviously I think they're going to be later round guys, but I would love to see them take one of those guys.
I will say this.
If they don't get drafted by anybody, they better be picking them up after the draft and undrafted. Yeah, totally.
Well, I will say this. We did a mock draft in the Locker Room app live last Wednesday. And by the way, download the Locker Room app. It's amazing. Every Wednesday, 9 to 9:30, we hop on live. We do mock drafts. Me and Andrew, Dave, I hope you can join us this week. We've been doing mock drafts for the PFF tool. We do different themes draft, and it's fun. And he was one of the options that we did when we had with the Locker Room mock draft last week. Because Saints needed an edge. The last time the Saints, I don't believe, have ever drafted a Tulane player since I've been following the team. Like, I can't ever remember him picking a Tulane dude. Like, it's gotta be 30.
Yeah, they've picked up
plus years.
Yeah, they've picked up undrafted guys, but I don't think they've ever drafted anybody. But going back to your earlier question, there's no way they're going to draft an LSU guy in the first round. That just doesn't.
No way. No way. No possible way.
No.
So
give
Matt says on the Draft Network app, teams can contact you about a trade. The thing is with the mock draft tools is you can set them to like realistic or not realistic. PFF, they were offering fucking ridiculous trade options. But Dave, I know you're like me. You don't like the draft. I'm like, I don't fucking scout these players. I care because I want the Saints to get good players, but as we get closer to the draft and you like are thinking about the Saints roster, like in your ideal world, like if I told you they can get an awesome defensive end, an awesome corner, an awesome linebacker first round,
Oh my God!
what do
stop.
you want?
Oh, I only get one of them. I thought you were saying I could get all of those.
No, you get
God damn
get
it, Ralph! Now I'm
you
disappointed.
get one of them.
You got my
It's
hopes
not. We're
up.
not gonna have the 2017 draft again.
Ah, man. I'll probably take cornerback. I feel like that's. I feel like that's
I probably think-
probably the most important. I feel like that's going to make the biggest difference. Yeah, I think I'd go cornerback.
And
QB.
here's the thing. Here's the thing with corner is J.C. Horn had like a ridiculous workout, and so he's going to be like probably like top 12 now. And Dave, I see it's lying season in the NFL because people are saying like people are leaking rumors that like Justin Fields from Ohio State, like he can barely read. He showed up. He's the last one in the building, the first one out. Like horrible rumors, and they're saying that like the Saints are interested in the quarterback from Florida, Kyle Trask. So my thing is, do we need to start rumors about players we like for the Saints? Because the Saints Happy Hour podcast, we have almost 10,000 followers. Juge breaks news occasionally. Should we start to spread false rumors like J.C. Horn? I mean, I heard he murdered a hobo. And if I was an NFL team, I wouldn't want a person that possibly murdered a hobo on my team. So do we need to start spreading horrible, false, potentially slanderous rumors for players that we want to fall to 28 for the Saints?
Yeah, but you've got to make them. You've got to make them realistic. Like your fake. Yeah, your fake scenario of being of somebody murdering a hobo in cold blood. That's a little far fetched.
What would
you
be?
Got to. I got here. You got to make up. The rumor has to be like
realistic.
Yeah, the realistic, but it's So it's got to be like he attended the birth of his firstborn child instead of and missed a practice. And so all the old head football guys are gonna be like, oh, we can't draft him. He's got to be 100% football. Like you got to be at football practice instead of the birth of your first child.
Oh yeah, like he was on Snapchat with a model during practice, or he was looking at Pornhub on his iPad during the biggest game of the year during practice. Like that kind of realistic rumor.
Yeah,
you can't do like murder is out.
Yeah, well,
I think that's a good point.
Goodell.
Yeah, I think we need to focus on like work ethic rumors, not like murder or crime, because that's provable. Like you can't like if you leak a rumor that like they murdered a family of 4, like they can easily say disprove that. But like if you leak a rumor about their work ethic or maybe they're out of shape,
yeah.
And also too,
I've been trying to listen to more of the NFL Ringer podcast, and they've been talking about the draft, and so now I've been thinking about actual scenarios here. I mean, like so like what chance do you give? I don't know. I just feel like they really seem to believe that this is going to be quarterback heavy, like.
I think it's going to be
top 4 picks could be all 4 straight quarterbacks.
I think it's going to be. I think Atlanta is going to pick a quarterback, or they're going to.
Atlanta's going to take a quarterback. They're not going to take a wide receiver. They're not going to take
the tight end Pitts.
No,
I think Atlanta.
Jamar Chase.
I think Atlanta's either taking a quarterback themselves, or they're going to trade out and get a ridiculous amount of picks from a team that wants a quarterback themselves. And the thing is, for Atlanta, if they draft a quarterback, it actually makes sense in this sense that if Terry Fontenot and the new coach draft a quarterback, they can say to Arthur Blank, if they're terrible for 2 years, they can be like, look, we were stuck with Matt Ryan. We haven't even played the quarterback that we drafted yet. You can't fire us. So it could, in theory, buy them more time and more job security So I think Atlanta could totally pick a quarterback, but I don't think they're going to take a quarterback. I think Carolina is going to get so desperate, they are going to give Atlanta something so fucking ridiculous that Atlanta can't say no. Like, even though it's Carolina and you don't want to trade with them because they're in the division, they're going to be like, we'll give you 2 firsts and 3 seconds and a player. And Atlanta is going to say, well, shit, hopefully the quarterback they pick is terrible, but we can't say no to this. Like, there is an offer, right, Dave, that Atlanta at 4 would have to take from Carolina.
I mean, so what if? Yeah, there's always an offer. There's always an offer you can't refuse. I think that was from a movie or something. I don't know.
Don Cariello.
The last Tulane player was Treg Sonji in the 12th round of the 1985 draft. I wonder if he was related to my brother Martin, English teacher, Mr. Sonji.
Maybe. Well, so I'm wondering what if there's a quarterback that falls a little bit? What if the Saints get into a situation like that? What if the Saints get itchy and what if a guy that the Saints have always liked, a quarterback or whatever, falls low enough to a position where they're like, well, that's a good value at 16. You know, we thought he was going to go at 6, but here he is at 16. I want to move up. I mean, like, what are the chances that happens? There's I mean, obviously there's so many different scenarios, but I mean, I've thought about that happening. I've thought about 2. What I was saying originally was there just being this run on quarterbacks, and other, Cincinnati would probably take a tackle. I mean, so what if somebody on the defensive side of the ball, there's going to be people that are going to start slipping if there's a run on quarterbacks that people. So that could happen. The Saints could either trade up in that scenario, or maybe they could just stay where they are and pick up the guy that they always wanted. I mean, there's, who the hell knows?
I think for the Saints, if the ideal scenario, if you are a Saints fan, you want quarterbacks to go top 4. That's, by the way, that's never happened in the history of the NFL draft, that a quarterback has gone 1, 2, 3, 4. They've had, I think,
1, 2, 3. They've had 1, 2,
1, 2, 3. I think it's happened twice, and one of the times was when it was the Saints were involved. It was 1971. It was Jim Plunkett, Archie, and Dan Pastorini, I think. So 1, 2, 3. But if they go 1, 2, 3, 4, and Mac Jones would go later in the top 10, like, that would be ideal, because then you have those 5 guys. The tackle from Oregon's going to go. That's 6, and then you got a bunch of receivers. Then the corners get pushed down, and like you say, Dave, the Saints have 2 third-round picks this year, and potentially next year they could have 3, because they got their own. They're going to get one for Trey Hendrickson, and they got one for Fontenot. So they got 5 third-round picks the next 2 years, and we know the Saints have no problem burning assets to move up. And a third-round pick in the first round will move you about 6 spots. So, do the math.
Yeah, well, where are the Saints sitting? They're sitting at
28.
No, they're 28. I mean, I don't know. Does like Patrick Surtain, like, could he slide to like 20? Like, would he ever fall that far?
But he could slide. Like, I could see J.C. Horn jumping ahead of him. If he got to 14, a third-round pick. If he got to 14, the 2 third-round picks could maybe get you to 16-ish. The problem becomes, though, is if you call up a team and you say, I want to go from 28 to 14, and you say to them, hey, we'll give you our number 98 or our number 98 and our number 105. They don't want that. They're like, we want the 2027. We want your 2022 first. Like, that's what they would want.
Mm-hmm.
So it becomes a problem. But I do think you're right, Dave. I think the defensive players are going to fall down the board, and that's the reason why we were joking about the Saints' horrific drafting at linebacker. If somebody in the chat could give me the pronunciation of the Notre Dame linebacker phonetically, like spell it out really. No, not Passignon. It's like Kalua, Tona Kalua Mahai or something. Like me and Andrew, we did a mock draft and he was the guy we picked.
How do you spell
I
that?
like Kalua.
Kalua. He's a guy that's like rated. He's rated in the top. He's rated in the top 15. So like it would take a really. It's a Owusa Koromoa is his name. He's a guy that's every draft you see, he's a top. Koromoa. He's a guy every draft you see him is top 15, but teams devalue linebackers. They feel like they can get him later. So he's a guy that maybe he could fall. And that's why we did the joke. Like, he's the only linebacker that when Andrew does his draft nerdness, he says that dude has no flaws, and I would have no problem with the Saints picking him. Like, to me, Dave, the thing that worries me about linebacker is whatever guy the Saints are going to pick, whether they pick him, if they don't pick him in the first round or they don't pick this guy from Notre Dame, it'll be like, well, he's a really good linebacker, but he's undersized, or we don't know if he can cover, or he doesn't have good lateral quickness. It'll always be some horrible flaw. Like, remember Stephon Anthony? He's got all the physical tools. If he could just put it together mentally, he's going to be amazing.
He's a raw talent. He just needs to be
raw,
up.
And he stayed raw.
Yeah.
He stayed raw for 4 years.
Yeah.
Until they traded him.
I know. God.
I hate him. And
please don't draft a linebacker.
I'm not usually right about players that I love.
Just pick one up off the street in week 4 of the preseason, like you always do. God damn it! That's where you get all your good linebackers.
Stanley,
that's where
Harrelson.
Yeah. Linebackers aren't to be drafted; they're to be picked up in week 4 of the preseason. God damn it! Everybody knows that's where you get the good linebackers.
That's where you get the good ones.
That
was funny when all their linebackers died and they had to do a trade with San Francisco to get Paris Harrelson. Or I like to call him Paris Harrelson or Woody Harrelson or whatever the hell he was good, but he was all right. He wasn't terrible. You know?
No, he wasn't. He was definitely not. He was certainly a lot better than any of the linebackers we listed earlier that we drafted.
I mean, this draft to me though, Dave, it's potentially bananas because I wonder because all the NFL draft nerds, people like me, we slander Mac Jones from Alabama. I call him Alabama Chad Henne. And all the draft nerds are like, Twitter and fans bang on Matt Jones and think he's overrated, think he's like every other Alabama quarterback, like AJ McCarron and Greg McElroy, all of them. They were just along for the ride for a national championship. But NFL teams apparently love Mac Jones because he's a coach's kid and he's accuracy and he works really hard and blah, blah, blah. So, like, I think for him, like, he could just set this draft aflutter. And now, by the way, Thomas is playing a tweet right now that I think might be my favorite tweet of the entire year. It was somebody who tweeted
overthrows.
It was inside the mind of Kyle Shanahan. It was Jimmy Garoppolo missing the Super Bowl winning throw 2 years ago, and then Kyle Shanahan at Mac Jones's pro day where he does the exact same thing. And Kyle Shanahan, he looks as sad as I look when I see people playing Xbox with 2 functional hands. It's like something you'll never have and you can only dream about when you're asleep and your head hits the pillow. Like, look at that face. He looks so sad, Dave.
Yeah, no, Mac Jones is this weird thing. Like it seems like the media is not on the Mac Jones train, but it seems like more and more as we get closer to the draft, NFL teams are all about Mac Jones.
Here's the
So,
thing, though. Here's the
like,
thing,
I
though,
don't know
Dave.
what's going on. There's definitely a discrepancy between public
Yeah.
perception and the actual the decision makers' perception.
Here's the thing, though, Dave.
Am I wrong?
I saw a mock draft from Todd McShay, and he had 5 Alabama players going in the first round that weren't Mac Jones. Maybe, just maybe, Alabama's team is fucking loaded. Like, he was throwing to wide open dudes. He threw to a Heisman winning receiver, and the Heisman winning receiver and the other dude, Waddle, are both going to be like top 12 picks.
Right.
I just like, I hope Carolina picks him at 8. I will laugh and laugh and laugh if that happens. That would be the only thing that would make draft night better is if Carolina picks Mac Jones and the Saints get a good player at 28. Yeah, people, the parody account is stealing my the mouth Rawlbro account. He's stealing my Bama Chad Henne jokes, which I stole from Billy Gomala, a
Bando?
former LSU writer. I stole it from him. But I have more followers than him, so I get, and I'm on the TV box.
Well, we
so
gotta
we
got to get the parody account more followers. So if you don't follow him already, follow him. It's at M Ralbro, RALBROUGH.
Yeah, everybody. That would be funny if the parody account surpasses my 5,000 Twitter followers, which
That's right.
I'm sad because I read something the other day. They had Twitter followers by activity and time spent on Twitter. By the time I spend on Twitter and the tweets I do per day, Dave, how many Twitter followers should I have if you guessed? If you had to guess.
Like a million.
47,000. And I have 5. It's so sad.
Oh, man.
But I'm transitioning from Twitter to Discord because let me tell you,
Right.
Discord, if you become a patron, it's the best place to be. Like Discord, those people are fucking ridiculous. They're making Ralph Marlboro emojis. You need people in the Discord. They listen to they're on the live stream tonight probably. I want Dave emojis. I want Kevin emojis. Don't just do a bunch of me with my lazy eye and crippled arm emojis.
I think you were the last person to get an emoji. And they're not emojis. They're well, I guess they are. I guess they're emojis. I don't know what they are. They're just like ways to I don't know. I don't even know. I don't know what the hell. I don't know.
So, and that's another thing. If we have Dave sent me a new shipment of t-shirts, and by the way, if you are a $12 patron or higher, you will be getting your t-shirt this week. If you think you deserve a t-shirt and you don't get one in like a week or so, DM us. We'll make sure you get your t-shirt. But we have a bunch of medium t-shirts. Dave told me don't buy the medium t-shirts. They're only for children. And I didn't listen to him. So I have a box of medium t-shirts still left. But if you could come up with a good fake draft day rumor that potentially can push a player down that could fall to the Saints, if you can come up with a good tweet, tag us and we'll retweet it and we'll give you a t-shirt if you can start slandering potential draft picks and helping them fall to the Saints. It'd be like our thank you for making the 2021 Saints a better football team. Ralph was the last, despite Ralph having the greatest headshot. Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. Like, WWL, I didn't even notice, Dave. Not only do I not open my eyes, but when I do, I have my one eye open. That is the lazy one, and it twitches and it looks off weird. So I really, really do look like I'm either stoned out of my mind or I have a glass eye. like one of the two.
Which one is it? Do you really have
probably-
Do you really have a lazy eye?
I have a lazy eye, but I got it fixed. When
Is
I
it the
was in
same
college.
side as your arm?
No, it's the other. It's
Oh,
And
wow.
actually, no, you're right, David. It is which is
You don't
weird
even
now.
know.
When you get the
don't
eye
know.
surgery, though, you can pick which eye you look out of. And I have one eye, my right eye, 20/20 vision. My left eye, things that are far away are blurry. I actually had the doctor who did it. Her name was Monica, and she did the surgery for me right in the middle of the Bill Clinton Monica Lewinsky scandal. And she was running for Congress. I had to use every ounce of my body not to make jokes every time I would see her.
Wait. Your surgeon, your eye surgeon, was running for Congress.
Yeah, she's an eye doctor. She ran for Congress. She didn't win, but her name was
State
Dr.
Congress?
Monica.
Texas
Like
Congress.
U.S. No, like
US
no,
Congress?
New Orleans. That was when I lived in New Orleans. Like it would be like this. It would be like the Bobby Jindal, Steve Scalise Lakeview district. She ran for Congress. She was Dr. Monica. She did a wonderful job. Her and her husband both.
So nice they named her twice.
It's
Wait
so
a
nice they
minute.
named her twice. She did a wonderful job. The eye is still
I'm
mostly
looking this
straight
up.
when I wear the glasses. It's fine. She did lovely work.
Monica.
Yeah.
At the time of your surgery, she was campaigning.
I think either. Yeah, I think because I had. No, she had probably already run because I think I got the surgery in '99 and she had run in '98. So she had maybe already run because I got the surgery.
Did she win?
99, 98, 99.
Candidate Monica L. Monica.
I'm not making it. How could I make that up, Dave?
That
I
is
know I
an
lie a
idiot.
lot of
You
times.
idiotic.
Looked like her campaign headquarter address was actually near me on Bet's Place in Metairie.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So I'm just saying she did a lovely job. I
Well,
highly recommend her if you need eye work.
ophthalmologist in Gretna. She received her medical degree from Louisiana State University School of Medicine. Oh, look at that. 21 plus years experience.
Yeah. It's weird too. When you get eye surgery, when they do the lazy eye, they put stitches in, and then they do it like a Clockwork Orange, where they put a metal brace on your face, and then after you come out of surgery the next day, they tweak the stitches to straighten it, and you can like feel them pulling on the stitches, and they snip it. They snip it, and you're done. And it's crazy. It's crazy.
Yes, very good. Thank you, Thomas. Oh my God. Monica, Republican Party, United States elections 2002, Louisiana, 1st Congressional District.
2002. So it was later. It was later than I thought. It was later
Yeah.
than I thought. But so maybe I have my dates messed up. Maybe that must have been when I did the eye surgery. I thought I did it earlier than that. See, I'm getting in my old age. The dates all blur together.
Well, that happens. That happens, especially when you've got all that Saints info you've got to keep that you cannot let go of. You can't let go of the Saints stuff, so you got to let go of all the other shit.
I gotta know Jim Everett's career passing yards. I gotta keep that in my brain. I can't have actual eye surgery dates correct. I gotta only so much can stay in.
She was born October 1st, 1950. She's 70 years old now.
Yeah.
Monica.
This people say wow, what makes
went to
the
Tulane.
Saint, what makes the Saints Happy Hour podcast special?
And
Is
the
it the
University of
analysis?
Virginia.
Is it the draft analysis? Is it the Saints coverage? Is it the Saints history? No, it's just the fact that on a random podcast on Easter Sunday, we will talk about Ralph's eye surgeon, Monica L. Monica, and
Wait, her hobbies are for photography, shell collecting, needlepoint, painting, playing the organ, singing, and scuba and snorkel activities.
That makes sense because I remember
There
in
you go.
her like office, she had a bunch of shells everywhere.
She collected them. Duh, Ralph.
Yeah, well, there you go.
There you go.
Could have been worse. Could have been like
Monica L. Monica.
Beanie Babies and shit.
I mean, can we just talk about how your parents, you and your wife and your parents, and your last name is Monica, and then you have a child, a girl, and you know that your last name is Monica, and then you just go ahead and name your daughter Monica.
Well,
I
maybe,
mean,
but maybe,
I'm trying to
maybe,
understand the thinking behind this.
maybe she married into it. Maybe it's her married name.
Oh,
You
well, you
know,
can't.
maybe.
Okay, so your name's Monica, and you wind up dating somebody whose last name is Monica. You can't.
You got to keep the maiden name.
You know, you just can't even. You don't even date. You don't even. You know. You end it after the first date once you find that out.
Oh, come on. I mean, it's not. I mean, is it?
Yes,
Is
I guess
Monica
professionally,
Monica?
yeah. You keep your maiden name. Yeah, you don't go with your married name. Yes, Monica
Is it-
Monica has to be her birth name. That's got to be her.
But is it bad? Is Monica Monica? Is it bad in and of itself? Is it weird, or is it just funny to us because we are of the age of Bill Clinton, Monica Lewinsky? Like if
No, this
that
has
didn't
nothing to do
happen,
with. No, this has nothing to do with. No, because my first thought isn't even Monica Lewinsky. My first thought is Monica from Friends. To be honest with you. So no, I don't have any Lewinsky connection. My whole point of humor about this whole thing is that somebody would their last name would be Monica, and then they would name their child their first name Monica. They would willingly name their child Monica Monica.
It's like the wedding singer when she's like, "If I marry him, I'll be Julia Gulia."
That's exactly it. But that's marriage. But I don't think. But like you said, if she married a guy named with the last name Monica, and her first name was Monica, you don't take the last. You just stick with your maiden name.
Stick with the maiden name.
Especially
You're like,
professionally as a doctor.
Yeah, I didn't realize until I married my wife that like getting your maiden name switched to getting your maiden name switched to your married name is a fucking long ass process that takes a lot of time and work.
Yeah.
It's very
One of my employees is actually getting married, and she was just complaining about how much of a pain in the butt it is.
Yeah,
marriage.
It's a giant pain in the ass. Things that it's easier to. It's easier to buy
Thomas?
drugs.
You don't even know what you're talking about.
Of course
Thomas,
not.
It's easier to.
I'm never making that mistake, man. What are you talking about?
Thomas, you're so young and immature. This just.
We need Thomas to
we
stay
joke about how
single.
old Thomas is. We don't know how old he is. Just based on pictures, he looks like he's 27. But since he's Polish, that probably means he's like 12. But I'm thinking.
Hey, Tomas, check the timestamp on this.
I mean, I'm thinking he's 27, but he's so jaded. He's just like he doesn't believe in love. He doesn't believe.
Like
Thomas, who hurt you? You and Darren Ravel should get together.
It was Andrew. That's why he's not here.
I feel like right as this podcast hits the big time and we become even a bigger phenomenon than we are in Malta. By the way, still number 2 in Malta. Number 2. When we become even a bigger phenomenon in Saints world, right when that moment happens, Thomas is going to find love in whatever woman he decides to spend the rest of his life with. She's going to be like, you need to drop that stupid fucking podcast you do at 4 a.m. like a bag of dirt.
Yeah, that's true. We're never going to hear from him again.
He's going to ghost us, and that's going to be the end of it.
Ralph, don't leave all of our digital files. Make sure he doesn't have the only copy.
Too late for that.
Right.
Yeah, make sure he doesn't have the only
Too
copy
late for that, Dave.
all of our past episodes.
Dave, it is too late. Last week, Thomas can vouch for this. My audio was a complete fucking calamity. I didn't even record you guys' voices or my voices. All I recorded was 120 minutes of the soundboard. And it was just every so often it was a Jim Mora drop or my wife or
God, I hate to hear that.
or-
I hate to
Yep.
hear that.
all that. That's all it was. That's how bad it was. So Thomas, of course,
5 at the
records
same
the
time.
audio in pristine condition, and it was fine. Nobody knew it different. But that's where we are. Thomas runs the whole show. Without him, we'd sink. We'd be
Great.
done for.
That's great.
So speaking of that, Thomas, fire up the question music. We got to get to the questions of the peoples. Finger guns. So before we get to the question, I want to shout out. I think it was on Twitter today. I tweeted out that I had an idea for a show where it's just my crippled one-armed ass trying to do normal activities that people with two arms can do, like barbecuing steaks. And the Todd came up with maybe the best name for the show ever. He called it Short-Handed, and it would be on the Discovery Channel. It would just be hijinks of like me trying to bring a cooler and a kite to the beach, and or me trying to drive a school bus full of kids, like all these things where at two arms it's easy to do, but with me, I think that could be a hit YouTube show, Dave. I really do.
I would watch the shit out of that.
I mean, think of it, and it could be even not even life-threatening things like me driving a school bus full of kids. It could be me trying to put on a tuxedo, me trying to carry a plate across the restaurant. The possibilities are endless.
Wiping your ass.
Wiping my ass, or today at the playground, my kid took off his shoes and his shirt for some reason and was running around the playground in bare feet and shirtless, and I had to put his clothes back on. That was a whole to do, it could be. I'm telling you,
It's a good thing you only have one kid. What if you had two kids?
Dude, I'll tell you what. Me and my wife, we did fertility and all that stuff, and they give you the thing. When my wife did it, she made me sort of the keeper of all the records, and the doctor and the nurses would tell me the test results and all the thing, and I would relay it to my wife. So they told me that my wife was pregnant. I knew before she did, so they told me, and they have this H test or whatever, and I asked the nurse, I was like, well, what's the test score? And she's like, oh, it's 6,000. So I go online and I'm like, what does that mean? And the test score for my wife, there was a 96% chance that it was twins. So I told my wife, I was like, you need to mentally prepare yourself that we are fucking having twins. And she's like, no. I'm like, I'm telling you, the test score says we are having fucking twins. I'm mentally ready. So when the doctor does the little scan and he goes over and it's the two little embryos in there, I'm not going to pass out. You need to be mentally ready. It ended up not being, but Dave, I don't think I could. Two of them kids, no. It'd be over. I tell you what we wouldn't be having if I had two kids. We wouldn't be having this fucking podcast. That's for sure.
I'm actually sitting here though, thinking though, it's amazing. We've been doing this podcast so long. I remember before you had a kid. I remember you and Sally going through the
Me too.
Yeah,
IVF stuff and not even being successful at first, I think.
Oh,
and,
I'll tell you this too, Dave.
I mean, we've been through it all.
At my work,
Before I had kids.
I am IVF fertility Obi-Wan Kenobi. Women in the office will come to me and ask me questions. If you want to know anything about IVF, I'm the man. I know as much useless information of this things about the Saints that I know all kinds of useful things about IVF. You can ask me anything. I know it all. It's frightening. But no one knows. But it's been a long time, Dave, right? That's years away. My kid's fucking 5. Hold on. He'll be in kindergarten.
Wild. That's totally wild.
So Thomas, as we digress after we played the music. I'm
Never
sure
even
Thomas-
asked the question.
We're already on the second
did-
loop. On the Take It to the Top,
So-
man.
So here we go.
Andrew
next?
We
wanted us
have
to
already
stop.
gone off the rails.
Andrew
Yeah,
wanted
Andrew
us
wanted
to
us
stop
to
playing
pot
it
down
after
the
30
music.
seconds.
And we didn't even pot down. I don't even hear the music though, so it must be super duper low. But Thomas, fire the first question out.
Oh my god.
Okay, first question from Bulky. Has Jameis 101 figured out how Jameis can unblock the Suez Canal? I don't know if that's how you pronounce Suez Canal in English.
Suez. I would say Jameis 101. And I make the joke over and over again. Find someone in life that loves you as much as Jameis 101 loves Jameis Winston. Well, here's the thing, Dave, and I do think he's right about this. You know, I saw something about Sean Payton thinking about taking Kyle Trask, and when I read the comments and different things on PFT, there is a perception out there that Jameis Winston is this terrible quarterback, and the Saints had absolutely no plan to replace Drew Brees. Like, and I'm not saying Jameis is good, or even I don't even know what he become, but there's this perception out there that Jameis is like horrifically bad, and I don't know if it's a combination of Brady winning the Super Bowl or the 30 interceptions, but like I feel like the perception on the internet is that like Ryan Fitzpatrick and Andy Dalton are better options than Jameis Winston, which seems ridiculous to me.
Hey, look, this whole Jameis Winston thing it's a really unique situation. I mean, obviously, everybody is basing their opinion of Jameis Winston on what they saw in Tampa Bay. And that's fair that they're allowed to do that. You know, there's nothing else that you really can base your opinion on. But I trust Sean Payton. I mean, obviously, Sean Payton has had Drew Brees his entire head coaching career while he's been in New Orleans. But when Drew's been out, he's had Teddy. And Teddy's won 4 games, and he's had Taysom, and Taysom won 3 games or whatever. So far, it looks like they believe that Jameis is the guy. And there is no way that I'm going to second guess Sean fucking Payton on who he thinks is good enough to be the starting quarterback of the Saints. And I mean, right now, I think it looks like they believe that it's Jameis Winston. There's no way that I'm going to doubt that.
And I'll say this too: if you want to get excited about Jameis, listen to the Huddle and Flow podcast on NFL.com. It's Steve Weish and another guy who I forget. They interviewed Jameis for about an hour. And if you want to get excited about a guy, listen to that podcast. Like, he's really open and self-aware really about, you know, I turned the ball over a shit ton and I gotta stop that. But he really, to me, it shows growth. It showed, you know, he talked about, to me, Dave, that was something was really interesting. He talked about how Drew Brees, when the Saints were playing the Raiders, right, and they were losing by a couple of touchdowns, and Jameis was like, "Listen, I know that you talk about process, but you down 2 fucking scores. You got to start pushing the ball down the field, and you got to score faster." And afterward, Drew was like, "No, man, I got to run this offense as efficiently as possible, and you got to make the right decision on every play. And if you make the right decision and you have the right process, eventually it's going to work out in your favor, and you got to focus on the process and making the right decision." And I think Jameis, like when he talks about those things, like he's not just doing lip service. I really think the year around Drew Brees sort of showed him like, oh, I got to do it this way, not exactly like Drew, but I gotta focus and do these things better. And it just got me really excited about Jameis. And you know me, I'm full on Jameis Winston train. So
You're eating the W.
I want to.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm
he's
eating
eating
the
the
W.
W. I want to. Well, I want to amend what I was saying. I believe that Peyton believes that Jameis has the potential to be, a franchise quarterback. But I think Peyton is obviously they've only signed him to a 1-year contract, so they certainly have plenty of options, and they can move in a whole nother direction after this season if they don't like what they see from Jameis or even Taysom or whatever they want to do.
War got
Um,
forced as that question was from last week. Is that
So
true?
I'm
That's completely on brand for this podcast.
so I mean I don't think that Peyton is dumb enough to. I don't think that they're going to put all their eggs in Jameis's basket. I mean, I'm sure they're going to. I'm sure they're going to be looking at other options at quarterback. But I do. I do believe that Sean Payton thinks that Jameis at least has the possibility to be a good quarterback.
And here's the thing. The other interesting thing Jameis said, and he did it jokingly, but you could tell he was serious. He's like, I think I can stay with the Saints, and I'm not gonna make that much money this year, but I am going to fucking kill it with the Saints, and then I'm going to make mega fucking money. Oh,
Yeah.
and right when the TV money kicks in, right?
I mean, he's
So-
definitely he's bet on himself. He has definitely, he's gone all in, pushed all his chips on the Jameis Winston, square on the roulette table. I mean, he's all in on himself, and honestly, I think it's going to go either one way or the other. I think it's either going to be wildly successful or it's going to go wildly bad for him. And I don't know.
Here's-
I don't know if there's any. I don't know if there's any middle ground there in this situation.
Here's the question. Then we'll get to the next one, Dave. Let's say the Saints go 9-7, and Jameis is Jameis Winston. He's very, very Jameisy. A lot of touchdowns, a lot of yards, a lot of interceptions. But the Saints sneak into the playoffs.
Wait, 9-7. Wait, is it?
And
Is it,
then
is it 10-7?
10-7
or
10
9-8?
I guess it would be 10-7 now. So
Or 9-8.
then Jameis gets ridiculously fucking hot, and the Saints almost make the Super Bowl. Do you pay him if he's the exact same dude he's been for 5 years? But he got really hot and almost got you the Super Bowl. Do you pay him? Like, that to me is probably the scenario that happens, because that's the most difficult to make up your mind.
I don't know. I mean, obviously Peyton and the Saints and the coaches, they're there every day. They're practicing with him. They know his mindset. They know his mentality. They know his work ethic. I mean, that's like 80% of it. To me, that's what it's all about. It's all about your mindset. It's all about your work ethic. It's if I was a coach, if I was a GM, if I was a team owner, to me it would be so little about your arm strength or your ball speed. It would be way more about your work ethic and your decision making and all that kind of stuff. I think that is so much more important. And but I don't know. I don't know. Do they pay him? God,
It's going to be here's the thing that
my God,
Thomas
I
put
don't
up
want
a
to be in that
funny
situation.
Thomas put up a funny tweet way earlier that I totally forgot about. The NFL announced the 17th game is official, and the Saints will be going to the Tennessee Titans.
That's right.
For the 17th game. And I tweeted out, this is concerning to me, Dave, because the last time the Saints went to Tennessee with a Florida State quarterback, the Tennessee mascot tried to murder said Saints quarterback from Florida State by
Adrian
rolling
Adrian
over
Peterson?
him with a golf
mean,
cart. That's
Adrian
right. It's Adrian McPherson.
He was a
Tried
Florida
to-
State quarterback. I didn't know that.
He was. So I worry for Jameis. He needs to keep his head on a swivel because that mascot from Tennessee has bloodlust for Florida State quarterback.
I think I remember watching Adrian. Did Adrian McPherson get regular season playing time at the end of the 05 season? Like
I
the
don't think
LSU
so.
games?
Did he?
I think-
No, that was Todd Bauman. Adrian McPherson did
Oh,
line
right.
up under guard in a preseason game.
Really?
He's known for that too. So
Todd Bauman. You're right. Wow.
Tom, that's great. That's great work by you for pulling up that tweet again for the visuals for the people on the YouTubes.
What next?
Next is from Badrich. Can you rate your top 5 prospects based on their name alone?
I
They
mean,
were
Well,
signed-
this is for
they've
you
already
and
signed
you only, I guess.
That's right.
I mean, Amusa Koromoa, he's got to be.
Wow. Wow.
He's got to be.
Is
he's
he in
gotta-
your top 5?
He's got to be number 1 because he's potentially. He's
It
potentially.
sounds like
they
you
got
pronounced it correctly, though. I mean, that was pretty good. It sounded like.
Trill Jackson is also in my top 5 just because I like saying Trill Williams from Syracuse just because his name is Trill and I think anybody named Trill has the potential to be a great corner. So he's in my top 5. You know, the other ones I haven't really studied. The thing is, they need also a name that like Kamara that can go either way. Those are the ones that scare me almost as much as like my
Like Anzalone,
Pastor-
Anzalone.
Yeah, like
Anal zone.
Anal zone.
Yeah.
Could be anal zone. You never know.
way, and it's like 6 years later, and I'm doing both because I still go with Kamara. It depends on the day. So I can't give you 5, but I'll give you 3. Like those are the ones that scare me. Like the really complicated hyphenated 3, and they have that defensive end guy. It starts with an A. He's got so many fucking vowels in his name. I don't even know. I'm gonna pull it up. It was a tweet. I did a poll and I asked people which I think Andrew did this because he's a jerk, where he asked people what name would you enjoy Ralph having a mispronounced. Well, here it is. This dude, Adeto Kunuba Agundaja, like that name, dude. I don't even know. Or Afidio.
Hey, Tomas, check the
Melifanoa?
timestamp on this.
And then just to be a total dick, after putting those 3 names, he put in Josh Myers. What a fucking asshole! this guy
Josh Myers won.
is. Yeah, and Josh Myers won.
I
What
voted Josh Myers.
a jerk! So Thomas,
What next?
Wait, let me show that tweet. Just 1 second.
yeah, the poll. It's just here's the thing. Like I feel like everybody on this podcast gets made fun of, but for
There it
some
is.
reason there's like a free reign. There it is. Of just like let's just pile on the cripple. Let's just pile on him. He can't pronounce names. He can't walk. He can't juggle because he's only got one good arm. You know, y'all just go at me relentlessly. The third guy I think is a corner too. So like all these guys are in play for the Saints, Dave. This might be my nightmare of
Yeah.
the Saints, seriously, because we always have a bunch of names that they can't pronounce. But this year, they have a bunch of names that I can't pronounce, and they slide to needs that the Saints could have. It could be my nightmare draft.
Yeah, you need to be praying for Josh Myers.
All right, Thomas.
What next?
Final question from Monadula. He finally made it.
Monadula.
Is Tomas going to keep on
Tomas.
censoring my questions until I ask one that has the right level of insult to Ralph?
Well, what's
Thomas,
the
take
insult?
it away. This is for you, Thomas. So answer him.
Yeah, you gotta step up your game, Anadula.
Yeah.
You've been slacking.
I feel like
this question doesn't even have an insult to Ralph.
it doesn't. I feel like
Yeah, I took pity on him.
Thomas and Monadula are having some sort of European 100-year war.
That's news
That-
to me.
that it's it's
The Poles versus what? Where's Monadula? Like Norway or something?
No, he's
Netherlands,
Neth-
Norway.
he's the Netherlands. man.
Close enough.
Oh, the
I
Netherlands.
He
Netherlands.
he
The
he
Poles versus the
loves
Netherlands.
he loves the Netherlands as much as any person that I have ever encountered on the Twitters loves their country. Like you could find the most American Roy Green, I am proud to be an American, and they don't love America as much as Monadula loves Norway. I mean the Netherlands. He is whatever colors are for the Netherlands.
He's from
like
Norway
orange
from now on.
or mayonnaise, whatever they bleed. He bleeds it. Like people in America, we bleed red, white, and blue. Whatever colors the Netherlands bleed, Monadula, he bleeds them. He is fucking
Orange.
orange.
He has like
He hates Trump, but he bleeds orange.
no. Hold on, wait. But I gotta say one thing about Monadula though. But he has. He's gonna get a big head after this. But now that we're talking about him on the podcast, but he has like the dumbest sense of humor. He's got his sense of humor is like dumber than dad humor. Like the other day, I asked where I could buy crushed ice, and his response to that was just get a block of ice and then tell you love it and then abandon it. Like emotionally, like his joke was like you
That's
could
good.
emotion.
I like that joke.
That's so,
I like that joke stuff.
that is
Once
so
you become a
that is so terrible. It's the worst.
Hey, Tomas, check the timestamp on this.
That's the worst joke I've ever heard.
Dave, you've just lost one follower from Norway.
I mean
It's
the Netherlands.
terrible. I mean, crying.
Monadula is going to send you a 9,000 word
What did I say?
DM and block you.
I'll
Then
be
block
sure not
you.
to read. I'll be sure not to read that.
So before we get out of here,
Look, wait. Well, I mean,
Go
I don't
ahead.
want to end on that. I mean, I
No.
appreciate him as a listener.
I love Monadula. Monadula has been a patron. He's like the first 50 people that started paying for this little podcast when we started doing it back in the day on
right.
Podbean. Like he was one of the people. So like we love Monadula. He's straight. He's one of those
corny jokes. Corny jokes.
corny jokes. He's very challenging. I feel like even though he speaks English, like it's not quite an English that I understand. But I love Monadula. I just try to like whenever I say something positive about America, he always has to like hop on and top it with something from the Netherlands. You know, he doesn't like my love of America. He thinks I'm over the top, and he tries to put me in his place with the Netherlands. And then I always tweet back, "Without America, you'd be speaking German, buddy." And then it just goes from there. That's where it goes. That's my go-to insult for Monadula. We love you, baby. We love you. We love you. So
I guess Thomas could say that.
And we love the US of A, Ralph.
the US of A, right? We need when we talk about it, you need to get that Thomas. I was gonna say you need to get I'm proud to be an American, but if you play even 5 seconds of it, we'll get a copyright infringement from you. We're already on like strike 47. So we can't have another copyright infringement from YouTube.
This is a very international podcast, though.
We are. Look, listen. I want to say we're number 1 and we're number 2 in Malta.
Now.
We're number 18 in South Korea. We're number 137 in France. By the way, Andrew speaks like fluent French, and we can't even crack the top 50. That's some
Sacre bleu.
So we're internationally renowned. As I just burp a beer up. But before we get out of here, I want to say to everybody, patrons, Please support the show. If you're on the YouTube channel and you're seeing this live, or you find us on the YouTube, you see we have great production values, better than other Saints podcasts. They might have a little bit better audio, whatever the fuck, but they don't have graphics and tweets and graphics that Thomas makes and videos and all that. They don't do none of that. We have Thomas doing that because you guys support the show. Become a patron, support the sponsors that we have that are commercials for the podcast, and it allows us to grow and do fun shit. So do it. Support us. We thank you. And if you don't like the fucking commercials, become a patron and you get the commercial-free version RSS feed. Do it. It's $7. Come on. So, Thomas, fire up the music, and we'll get the fuck out of here. Dave, as we get out of here, people in the chat want to know how much in pounds of candy did you think you consumed today?
I mixed in a little bit. It wasn't all candy today, actually. I mixed in a little bit of ice cream and some whipped cream and strawberries. But it's still it's early. It's only 10:30. I got like another hour before I go to bed, so we'll see what I can pack in before my head hits the pillow.
Yeah. So, and by the way, we have amazing, fucking ridiculous content for patrons because Andrew being on vacation. We recorded a couple of podcasts on all LSU draft, just crazy fun stuff that only patrons are going to get early. So become a patron. It's amazing. So for Dave, for Kevin, who's with his lady doctor friend, for Andrew, who's passed out on a porch in Hilton Head, for Thomas, running everything seamlessly in Poland like he always does. He's amazing. I'm Ralph. Until next week, the bar is closed.